Alright, so in this tutorial I'm going to try to go through and show you guys my process for painting a latex mask. So far what I've done is I've casted the mask and I've seamed the mask. I've also applied a base coat. When I do my base coats, I use rubber cement mixed with naphtha, which is basically just a thinner for oil-based paints and for thicker paints. And oil-based paint. For this one I just used flesh and I brushed that over the surface. So I mixed about half and half rubber cement and naphtha. Then just a little bit of oil-based paint just to basically tint it, and then I just brushed it over. That'll give it a nice starting coat. That'll adhere to the latex. It'll dry real quick. And then what I do is I go in with the airbrush and with acrylic inks. What I'm using here is FW. The first part of my process is to usually think about how I'm going to paint and what I'm going to paint it. So I write down in my sketchbook exactly what I'm going to do. That way I don't have to think about it while I'm working. So for this one I've already picked out my main colors. I'm going to basically splatter it with a few colors. Then I'm going to go in and model, and let's go ahead and get started so I can go ahead and show you guys. First color I'm going to get into is just magenta. I'm just going to take a regular chip brush that's been cut down, and I'm going to do a splatter effect which will help break up the skin tone. So just kind of give that some light strokes. Okay, so here is basically a close-up of what I just did. You can see a little bit of speckles everywhere. It just basically breaks up the skin texture. First color I'm going to start painting with is magenta. So basically you just add that to the airbrush. And I always like to thin it down with some regular alcohol. And with this first stage I'm just going to go around and start modeling, which is basically almost like scribbling on the surface. It'll give it a nice broken up look. I'll go more intense around the eyes and the lips. Alright. I actually got a little bit of blue on there while I was doing the speckling. I had it all over my hand and accidentally touched it, but with this, alcohol is basically a thinner, so I just dabbed it, and since I'm still in the beginning stages of my paint job, it's not a huge deal because I can just go back over with the magenta. This is the first step anyway. I still got more colors coming in, so On the back you can go a lot bigger, a lot wider with your modeling, and then you'll go in tight around the eyes and around detail areas. Basically as the skin starts to spread out, and there's more open space, you go lighter. Here's a closer up view of what I was doing, basically right around the eyes, modeling, and you can see as I turn it around towards the back that it's a little bit lighter, a little bit more spread out for the squiggles. That's the first color. Next color I'm going to go in with is red. We're going with scarlet, and I'm basically going to do the same thing with that one. Between colors, changing colors, depending on the color you're going from and to. It's sometimes important to clean out your brush, but with just going from magenta to red, it's not really a big deal. They're all in the same shade. And with painting, trying to paint realistic skin, you're going to try to do it in layers and make it translucent, so you're going to go from light to dark anyway. So usually the colors you start to use will usually cover up the old ones. So same thing, go a little bit more intense around the eyes and the facial features. Okay, what I'm also going to do with this now is I'm going to add in I'm going to try to add in a few veins. Veins here are basically, the way you're going to be painting these is basically just like dagger strokes. You start off with the air pressure, you pull back to make a decent line, and you get closer to the surface, and you make less paint come out as you come towards the end of the line. Give it somewhat of a sharp point at the end. Do the same for the other side. Make a few of these back here really light. I think that looks good. The other thing I'm going to do is up here, he's got a little gash in him, and I'm just going to put a little bit more intensity and a little bit more red on that area. Just to start, because this is just scarlet, so it's not going to actually look like blood or anything, but that's a good start base coat for it.